You know, to this day, ooh, baby. I don't know if it was because I was watching old Elvis Presley movies with my grandma, but I've always been a sucker for a crooner. And baby, if they could sing like a girl, oh, my life, my be waiting for So I have to say it because if I don't, you all won't do it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NayRob on YouTube. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. I hope you're enjoying this book. We do many books from all genres, all colors. Well, I want to do the Elton John book, but I know my book club probably wouldn't be into Elton John, which would absolutely be a great book. Also, I want to do the Sally Hemings book. Y'all know that? That's the real scandal. That's the original Olivia Pope. I would love to do her book. And continue talking about Mavis Staples. Allen Rawls, Sam Cooke, his brother LC, all of us went to Doolittle, the same grammar school. Purvis Staples says, after school we'd go to Sam's house and sing under the streetlight. But a big old fat lady by the name of Mrs. Sherrod would come out and be all annoyed with us after a while. Take your asses out of here, and we'd be gone. So we found a place in Sam Cooke's basement to practice. Allen Rawls would be there in his flannel shirt with the pen, and he'd tell Sam to sing the high parts because he couldn't go that high. Sam and Johnny Carter, they had voices that were so sweet. They could make the mice come down the pole and watch. Sam would sing, come down, and out they'd come. Then Johnny would say, go back up, and there they'd go. That's true stuff. For Purvis Staples, master of tall tales, the curious mice might have been a metaphor for the females he and his barely teenage pals aimed to attract. Purvis always made sure to have his nose in a book when he had a free moment, in hope of picking up a 25-cent word that he could drop to impress a prospective girlfriend. But it was the weekend afternoon church performance by the fledgling groups such as the Highway QCs, whose members included Cooke, Rawls, and Johnny Taylor at various times, that put the neighborhood's teen hormones in overdose. They would gather at Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church across the street from Doolittle. That's where we'd always go because they had a piano there. Purvis said, that's where we'd always go because they had a piano there. All the singers would come, and where the singers went, all the girls would follow. Mavis Staples and her girlfriends from the 30s would gather at Hopewell mostly to swoon over the suave 14-year-old Sam Cooke. They would have a battle of the singers, she'd say. Hopewell was down from the school, so all week ahead of time, everybody let it be known there was going to be a battle. The pastor would let us use the church because it kept us off the street. We'd be sitting down in the pews eating potato chips, French fries, and peppermint sticks. Cleety always had her butter pecan ice cream. Pause. When I tell you the young people made me feel so damn old the other day, y'all, I don't care though, because I'm like, you'll be eating butter pecan ice cream after a while too, and you'll realize that butter pecan is the greatest ice cream in the world. We'd be sitting there in the pews eating potato chips, french fries, and peppermint sticks. Cleety, that's her big sister. Cleety always had her butter pecan ice cream. Sam could sing. Purvis could sing too. I don't remember how the battles turned out, who won or what, but I do remember Sam Cooke. He had the most beautiful voice, and when he would do that, whoa, the girls would lose their mind. The girls weren't screaming about salvation in the afterlife, unless it was the kind of salvation that only Sam Cooke's embrace could bring. Long before soul music had a name, Cooke, Rawls, Purvis Staples, and the other young crooners from the dirty 30s were jumbling the sacred with the secular, so long as the grown-ups weren't listening. To this day, baby. I don't know if it was because I was watching old Elvis Presley movies with my grandma, but I've always been a sucker for a crooner. And baby, if they could sing, Pop Staples never left that world, even though he put down his guitar for 12 years after he came to Chicago while juggling a succession of jobs, high school classes, and child rearing. On the side, he managed to squeeze in some gospel singing at the Progressive Baptist Church on 37th Street and played local programs with the 6-member male gospel group calling themselves the Trumpet Jubilees. Pops was third lead, singing mostly in a falsetto voice, and managed the group, booking their appearances and scheduling their rehearsals. Okay. So Pops already knew what he was doing. Mavis was all of 8 years old in early 1948. Other than her ill-fated public debut in Mississippi, which won her only the strong disapproval of Grandma Ware, her singing had been limited to children's songs at school. Mavis was headstrong and stubborn, Pops recalled. What a time I had getting her to learn her part. When she was 7, Mavis could not hold a tune. It took her almost 2 years before she could catch on to her part. Yvonne detested having to sing at all. She was a quiet kid who hated to be the center of attention. Purvis would have much rather been out carousing and chasing girls with Sammy Cooke and Lou Rawls, but singing came naturally to him. Cleotha, the oldest, approaching her assignment with dutifully sincerity, her fondest wish was to make her father happy. Pops tried to shield his second-hand guitar from the rain as he and his children hopped a red streetcar to Holy Trinity Baptist Church on 33rd Street, where Pop's brother, the Reverend Chester Staples, was pastor. The church was only about half full, but nerves nearly got the better of Mavis when the family was called up to sing. She couldn't even look at the congregation. A chair boosted her tiny frame closer to the microphone. The group had prepared only 2 songs, assuming their stay in front of the congregation would be a brief one. But they sailed through If I Could Hear My Mother Pray Again with such feelings, the unpolished mix of voices, so redolent of the South with its Mississippi twang and bluesy undercurrent, that the congregation clapped uproaringly, insisting on multiple encores. With each pass through its tiny repertoire, a group shook off its anxiety and sang with greater confidence. An offering brought the family the pricely sum of $7. What's more, the congregation included a minister from Mount Zion Baptist Church on 46th Street. I never will forget it, Pop said years later. There was an old minister there named Lothrop, and he said, I want you children at my church next Sunday. Children, he declared, we gonna learn some more songs. So at his brother's church, they collected $7 because you got to do an offering, just something to pay the children to encourage them and the father. That's what it's all about. It's all about making money. That's how you talk to people. Yes, I love singing to the Lord, but if they're singing to the Lord so well that it moves you, then you need to offer them something so they will continue to sing for the Lord. The Staples family's second weekend appearance at Mount Zion Baptist Church went even better than the first. The collection brought $35, and Pops and the family went home with $17.50. Soon they were making double the amount as word spread on the South Side, and congregations swelled to glimpse the family that harmonized with such old school favor. Pops bought 15 minutes of airtime Sunday mornings on WTAQ on AM radio stations that broadcast out of Wedgwood Towers, a Flatiron high-rise hotel on 64th Street that was a center of African American life in Chicago. The Staples sang 2 gospel tunes, and Cleotha would announce where the family would be singing next, usually performing 2 programs every Sunday at 3 and 8 p.m. They began getting invitations from churches in Milwaukee, suburban Evanston, Joliet, Illinois, and Gary, Indiana. After coming to Chicago, Pops changed over, Mavis said. He was playing in those juke joints as a kid, but he never told us much about that. We knew they used to gamble and drink the moonshine and play the blues, but I never saw my father drunk. Her father's shift in attitude began after the family joined Mount Eagle Baptist Church at 45th and Lawrence, where C.J. Rogers was the minister. Reverend Rogers was such a powerful minister, and he got to Pops, Mavis said. He had to be baptized. From that, he turned his life over to God. He started to play strictly Christian music. I never knew he even played blues on his guitar, even though later on I learned that's what it was. My granddaddy, Pop's dad, was staying with us by then. He was blind, and he'd sit in a chair in the living room and sing, "You must be born, you must be born, you must be born again." Remember, Purvis is taking care of his grandfather. That is his primary job, to take care of his granddad. Pops was a music man, and gospel songs filled the apartment. Local favorites, the Soul Stirrers, especially the Incarnation led by the great R.H. Harris and the Highway QCs, the Dixie Hummingbirds, the Five Blind Boys, the Pilgrim Travelers. Pops was an avid and studious listener, and his music was a soundtrack to family activities whenever he wasn't leading the kids in another rehearsal. One singer in particular stood out for Mavis just when she started to perform with her family. Baby, could you imagine sitting in your living room playing Doll Babies or rehearsing or singing while playing Doll Babies? And Mahalia Jackson coming to your house, you just do-do-do, boo-boo-boo-boo, boo-boo, okay, Ken. Mahalia Jackson arrived in Chicago from New Orleans in the 1920s and became a protege of Thomas Dorsey's. A power couple, if there ever was one in gospel music. She was known nearly as much for her towering beehives and groans as her staggering voice. Mavis absorbed the influence of other gospel greats, especially Dorothy Love Coates of the Gospel Harmonettes and Ruth Davis of the Davis Sisters. But she credits Jackson as the woman who taught me my voice. Beyond that, She had a personal connection with Mahalia that blurred the lines between the artistic and the familial. When Mavis was 11, Pops came home on a Friday night and informed the family that they had been offered an opening slot for Jackson the next Monday at Tabernacle Baptist Church. Jackson could be aloof or even hostile when mingling with other gospel singers. The gospel circuit could be cutthroat, rife with gossip and competitive attitudes worthy of the most diva-like pop stars. But Mavis was young and differential enough that Mahalia never perceived her young protege as a threat, and their relationship remained a fond one right up until Jackson's death in 1972. Mavis's charmed life hit a bump on January 4th, 1952. Hey y'all! Thank you for watching parts 1, 2, and now 3. Please tune in tomorrow at 6 a.m. for part 4. And remember, the same people you meet on the way up will always be the same people you meet on the way down. My naysayers, patron loves. Bellas, have a good one. Peace.